So, who quits a full-time teaching job in the middle of March, sells their house, and literally drives across the country to jump at the opportunity to teach with one-to-one iPads? Well, that would be me. And my husband and son. We made this journey to Austin, here to Eanes ISD, in 2012, and it was one of the best risks we've ever taken. So, now you know the story has a happy ending. But I'd venture to say this journey marked the MTBoS beginning for me. That's math Twitter blogosphere. Having a global network like the math Twitter blogosphere has truly up-leveled my teaching with iPads in ways that I never could have done alone. Because the smartest person in the MTBoS is the MTBoS. You might be asking, how does one join the math Twitter blogosphere? Well, it's really easy. If you like math, Twitter, and reading or writing blogs, you're already in. How did I get started with this community? Back to my journey here to Austin. So I started teaching down the road about a mile from here, Hill Country Middle School, in a one-to-one iPad classroom. And I was trying to get my hands on every app and tech tool I possibly could. And as I watched my students learning, I felt a genuine responsibility to share what was happening in my classroom beyond those four walls. And that's when I started blogging and started to discover that there were other bloggers out there. And I started learning so much from these fine folks. I started attending more professional conferences, as well as learning festivals, and meeting a lot of these fine folks in person too. And the crazy thing was, it wasn't even creepy. I also met the most famous math teacher in America, Dan Meyer, and we've stayed connected through the years. The point of these stories is simply this: you have to share what you're doing in your educational space because you just never know who you're going to inspire. It's good to lurk, okay, and feel affirmed and, wow, I'm on the right track, but the true magic happens in these global communities when it translates to classroom action. It's like this snowball effect where one person creates a resource and shares something, and someone else takes their own spin on it and shares it back, and before you know it, all these resources exist that wouldn't have otherwise. By sharing, we impact our students and each other. So I've been talking in generalities, and I want to share one example of this math Twitter blogosphere snowball effect that happened to me quite recently. So this is my pal, Michael Fenton. Currently, he works for Desmos, which is a free, beautiful online graphing tool that our students have used here. Go Desmos. This was before I met Michael in person. He posted this really cool lesson idea on his blog. I loved what he did, but I wanted to remix it a little bit for my classroom. So I direct messaged him through Twitter and said, hey, I love what you're doing. Do you mind if I tweak it a little bit and use it with my kids? He said, sure, sounds great. I have no idea what you're talking about, but when you're done, make sure you share back. So I did. I remixed his stuff, I used it with my students, I blogged about the experience, I tweeted the link out. And a few months later, out of the blue, I hear from Professor Eric Milo in New Jersey. One of his students, who's a pre-service math teacher, saw these tweets and these resources and remixed her own. So it was so exciting to me to see a pre-service math teacher already creating resources like this. Shortly after that, Corey Henwood, who's in California, lets me know that Dane Ehlert, who's right here in Dallas, Texas, is also creating these amazing Desmos resources. Again, it's affirming, but now these resources are out there for all of us to be able to use and share. And then there's this. Desmos, that graphing tool I keep talking about, well, Eli Luberoff, the CEO and founder of Desmos, got in touch with our school district here, and together we partnered to create a version of this graphing app that students could use on their state tests. Again, I don't think this would have happened if we all weren't in a community together. And this is my favorite part. One of my students was so excited about all of these activities that we had done in class with Desmos that he took it upon himself to email careers@desmos.com. You see, he wanted the folks at Desmos to know that he existed, and he was immediately available for employment. He's a 7th grader. When Desmos emailed him back, you can imagine he was over the moon. Again, this wouldn't have happened if we all weren't freely sharing. So this can happen to you too, but only if you are active on Twitter, share about what you're doing in your educational space. And I can imagine that not all of you are math teachers in this room, but I challenge you to go research some hashtags, figure out your space, and find your own MTBoS. Thanks in advance for sharing about what you do.